Hey, everybody. Happy Sunday. Cold ass Sunday. Post Nor'easter Sunday here from New Jersey. It's January 30th, and this is your Sunday submission for MMA News. So, if you're watching this on YouTube, the MMA.com YouTube channel, where this video usually lives after I stream it live from my own Twitter account, make sure you do the bell notification, thumbs up, subscribe, and all that stuff. The latest from the Canadian God, James Lynch, is an interview with Jack Hermanson. So make sure you check that out for his upcoming fight. Full results of everything we're going to talk about can be found up at MMAnews.com. Make sure you give them a follow on all the socials as well. And if you like watching this live when I do it on Sundays, follow me on Twitter at Carbazel. You can, again, see this there first and, watch all the stuff I do for the other outlets I cover the sport of mixed martial arts for. So, might as well get right into the weekend. Again, as 2022 moves on, we have lots of stuff going on. MMA, combat sports is back in full gear, especially this weekend. I know folks, especially the MMAnews.com target demographic, is UFC heavy, but we had Bellator to kick off their first event of the year, and also Khabib Nurmagomedov on Friday night kicked off his premiere here in the States for Eagle FC 44. So it's not like a new organization, it's just new to us. And the reason why I'm talking about it, outside of it not being heavily covered on MMAnews.com, is because it's another free option for you to watch combat sports. FLX Cast is the service they're using. I don't know if it's one and the same, like it's like Khabib's own Fight Pass. I mean, if you're unaware of the Khabib and his, he's not hard up for money. He said in the past like he wasn't fighting for money. His whole thing is like the glory of combat and martial arts and all that stuff. Mm. So they had an arena. It was called the FLX Arena. I don't know if they call it Flex, but it's FLX. It's GoFLX .cast, I think is the address. Or if you go to Eagle FC, it's at Eagle FC on Twitter. If you go to them, you'll get the link to the Eagle FC website that'll take you to this service that they streamed the event on. And listen, I'm going to be straight up with you. That's some competition out there for a lot of folks as far as being entertaining. With the pacing, the bouts were phenomenal. And I don't know what kind of capital they have that they're playing with, but seems like they have money to make the proper offers to interest people, and they're doing weight classes that are not as there's not so many gaps, like they have 165, 175. So I wouldn't be surprised if like Kevin Lee and Diego Sanchez are fighting there in their next event. That's the main event for the next event. Sergey Karatanov versus Tyrone Spong. Spong was the main event for this past one. I'm saying it like that because they had Khabib's definitely given a lot of like opportunity for folks that fought and are looking to do something else. Commentary and desk duties were given to Chael Sonnen, Henry Cejudo, who kept mispronouncing Tyrone Spong's last name. He kept saying Sprung. His last name is Spong. Felicia Spencer was like doing kind of what Megan O'Leary does when you watch UFC events. Trying to think who else. Just a lot of like, it looks like he's doing something to kind of keep folks in the realm of combat sports that want to be it in some fashion. And I'm not going to hate on him for that. I know there's a lot of folks that are, the whole Ali and dominance MMA and the Dagestani flow of competition that was on the roster, which on the undercard, yeah, is definitely noticeable. But the fights were good too. But one fight in particular that I know a lot of folks were kind of shaking their heads or concerned about was, which is why I'm talking about it, is um, Rashad Evans, that made his return at 42 to mixed martial arts. He faced Gabriel Checo. They fought at light heavyweight ish, because they weighed in 202, 204. I'm not sure what the weight class. Again, they do different weight classes, so I'm still learning how Eagle FC is done. So as I check my notes, I'm looking at their weigh-in results. Um, a lot of people were counting Rashad Evans out at 42 years old. I'll tell you what, man. I mean, he was a little gassed, but he won dominantly. Checo, who's competes a lot in the pro grappling circuit, and you saw that in his style of fighting when he went for a lot of leg locks and things like that. But damn, if Evans didn't have answers to everything that he was doing, um, there were some moments where it looked like he was giving up a really bad position for the leg lock that it was going to come in, and then it's almost like he did it to bait Checo to dive into the technique fully, so he can spin out and wind up and side mount the way that he did. Great performance for somebody that sometimes, man, you know. And I think we talked about it last week when we were mentioning Henry Cejudo and his wanting to come back to the UFC. But sometimes, man, it's just a matter of these guys needing a significant amount of time off, and the UFC, we know that the UFC, because of it's the top of the heap and stuff like that, they demand a lot of um from their competitors and fighters, because it's supposed to be a testament to what they bring and blah and things like that. But somebody like Rashad that took all that time off and came back. I mean, outside of being a little winded at the end, he it looked like he hadn't skipped a beat. I mean, his right hand was still there. It was problems for Checo. Great. It was great competition. And the main event was a little bit outmatched with Spong and Karatanov. I mean, Spong, if you follow combat sports, you know Tyrone Spong from kickboxing and boxing, and he's done MMA, but that's not he's a striker, so it only made sense for Karatanov to use his size and pressure and mixed martial arts grappling experience against him to pick up the win that he picked up. But listen, Eagle FC, I'm looking forward to what they're gonna do here. I know I made a lot of news when ESPN like covered it, announced it. Khabib made the announcement. I'm surprised that here on MMAnews.com we don't have enough up about it, but I would imagine as the time comes and the next event comes, we'll probably have some more content for you guys to look at. So keep an eye out for that, especially it's soon. Kevin Lee and Diego Sanchez is the next event. I think they're doing 175. So 175 or 165. Again, with the weight classes that Eagle FC set up, which is, it's one of those things that the UFC doesn't seem to want to move on. But this is Khabib's promotion and the fight week, the media he did. He's teasing, because him and Dana seem to be friendly. Even Dana's supportive of his whole endeavor of doing this. But he did make the joke, if you guys aren't happy, I'm going to be. He actually said UFC and Bellator, and this ties into Bellator because Khabib was actually at Bellator 273 last night. So I'm going to get into the results because his boy that he was cornering lost a decision to Benson Henderson, and so this all ties together with everything that went on the weekend. But he was like, he says he's going to be taking folks that don't want I think we talked about this on like 2 Sunday submissions ago too. The sport's growing so much, there's more options out there for guys. Like you look at a guy like Aaron Jeffrey, who fought last night at CFFC 105. He's their welterweight champion, defended his title last night. But in between last night's title defense and when he won the title in the last before that, he had his second stint on Dana White Contender Series. So he fought there twice and they didn't sign him. And I don't think he won both of them, or maybe he didn't do well, but this is definitely a 170 pounder that should be signed to something. But I mean, in my opinion, CFFC is fine. They're doing so much with their Fury Pro grappling, they've grown so much in the last couple of years. I feel like, not for nothing, they're one of the people that probably did best during the whole pandemic mess. I've probably watched him more than I have before all of this. And he defended his title last night. I mean, if he can get on the Eagle FC card and they pay good, why not? I mean, I don't know what the pay is like, but it looks like folks want to go there. And I know that one of the interviews that MMA Junkie did with Khabib even said he sent Jake, because Jake Paul says he's going to do an MMA, so he sent Jake Paul a contract to sign, come over to Eagle FC, this new fun thing that's different than what everyone else is doing, and they're just waiting on a response. Something tells me he's not going to respond. But anyway, so let's move into Bellator 273, their first event back in Arizona. A lot of hometown boys done good with winners like Ryan Bader and Benson Henderson. So how this ties into all the Eagle FC stuff that I mentioned, let me bring up the results here. You can check the full results and highlight that we have up at MMA news.com. So let's bring them up here, because we got a lot of moments from the main event that are in GIF format that I can probably play for you without YouTube getting a bug up their ish. So Islam Mamedov, this fight right here, that's the guy that of course we don't have those highlights up, but you need to check out those highlights, because it was a split decision victory for Benson Henderson. He had a few losses before this, and so it's nice for him to break the loss streak, and pick up a win against, usually these fighters from Dagestan, especially if Khabib is in the corner, who was an emotional state. Like, he was really, I'll tell you what, man, Khabib definitely cares about all the guys that he coaches and trains. Probably gets that from his dad, the passion and stuff like that, which is probably why he I wonder why did Ryan Bader copyright his last name? What's up with that? Anyway, mm, the the reactions that they got, especially because Benson Henderson had some really nice answers to that the grinding Dagestani like wrestling style. I don't know if it was specific to Mamedov, and I haven't really checked out the rest. I saw him with his kids in the post fight. I got to look at the rest of the post fight press conference interviews, but he had some really nice answers to that wrestling style. I mean, he even mentioned it in the post fight interview in the cage with McCarthy, where he did like suicide rolls and Granby rolls every time that the weight, they do that thing where they kind of like hang off but to the side, so they're there and just enough to put enough pressure on you against the fence, and they usually suck up a leg underneath you to kind of like get you down, and then they do the whole thing where they wrap your legs, the Dagestani handcuff, and then start pounding you out, go for a submission or whatever. And Henderson's experience really stuck out in that fight, because every time that happened, especially when they would try to scoop the leg, that's when he rolled, and he would roll with and wind up almost with Mamedov's leg between his own legs. So I forget, I lost count. I think he might have done 3 or 4 of them, and the bulk of them was a leg lock attack. So I think that's why, depending on who's watching, I know Mamedov's manager said that they're critical of the judging of the event, especially for that fight. But I mean, generally, when someone is on top, they're favored by the judges. But even though Mamedov was on top and Henderson rolled underneath him, Henderson was the one attacking him. Mamedov had to defend a lot. So I was really impressed with what he did there. I actually rewatched it again this morning before I went to dig my car out, which is why I look like all disheveled and shit and coughing and stuff, because I was out there fighting the elements to get my car free. But it was definitely something. If you didn't catch that fight, definitely watch it, especially since it was the last fight in Benson Henderson's contract. So this is how it all comes together at the end, when they're Benson Henderson's they're competitors. So everyone's went to go shake hands and stuff like that. And you could hear him say, and again, I have to check out his post-fight interview backstage to see if he addressed it even further. But he went up to Khabib. Mamedov was in Khabib's, Khabib was in Mamedov's corner. He went up to him and he said to him, he was like, "Listen, I might need to come talk to you. This was my last." He says, "This is my last fight in Bellator, so I'm gonna have to come talk to you." And I don't know what the money is like again at Eagle FC, but John Coe treated something potential matchups for him there already. I didn't share it. I can't find it to share it, but there's definitely fights for him there that I wouldn't mind seeing. And it's definitely like an option for someone like Henderson. I mean, I didn't see him skipping a beat. I've never seen him, even in his losses. He always looks good. And if there's one thing that he does that probably does, I mean, they're decision losses, right? So if there's one thing that he does, and I actually said this to him, my interview with him before the pandemic is actually up on this YouTube channel if you want to go back and watch it. But he's a really intelligent fighter. I mean, no one gives Benson Henderson the credit. I mean, he's actually one of my favorite guys in the sport. So like, I wouldn't be mad at him if he wanted to take a break, walk away. But he's young enough that he really doesn't. He's still got some fights in him, in my opinion. Because even those losses, I mean, they're decision losses. And when I talked to him about it privately after the interview that's on this YouTube channel, he even admitted, like, I forget which fight it was, but he was like, "No, I got my ass kicked in that fight." So he knows when he's beaten. He knows, but he fights intelligently. I mean, he's obviously, his family was there. You can see a lot of footage with him and his kids, so he's thinking about stuff like that in the way that he trains and the way that he fights. So he protects his brain really well, and that might not be something that judges want to see or whatever. But I mean, he didn't hold titles in the past because he fought stupidly, So I hope, wouldn't mind seeing him in Bellator still. But if he tests the water at Eagle FC, since they're doing something new with the weight classes and stuff like that, I wouldn't mind seeing him there. He's definitely somebody that, again, there's people that could be ambassadors for mixed martial arts, and he's definitely one of them. So I'm glad he picked up a win last night. Let's see who else. And then we might as well talk about the heavyweight main event. Ryan Bader gets a unanimous decision against Valentin Moldavsky. I wonder if I can share. It probably would take too much time to show it, but if you go to my Twitter, I always share when Ryan Bader competes. I always share a video of him that I took from his open workout when he fought Fedor here in New York. What did he fight? Was it? No, I'm sorry. No, that wasn't Fedor. Who did he fight in New York? He won too. I'd have to look at his record, but from that, in the Viacom building, they did open workouts that week, and I took video of him doing his. I guess it was like a takedown or scramble drill, and it's terrifying to see up close because of his size. I mean, you don't expect someone his size, as big as he is, to move the way that he moves. And listen, the guy, for a heavyweight to move the way that he does, you saw that the payoff in dividends against Moldavsky. If you see that clip, you'll see the way that he trained, everything he does. I mean, he hit a lot of switches, and people are trying to compare this heavyweight fight to UFC 270 main event because of the wrestling or whatever. But and of course, people are dogging this main event. But in my opinion, the pacing was better. With the striking exchanges were better. Ryan Bader damn near finished Moldavsky in the beginning. I think we have that up here. Where is the first one there? Because it happened early in round one, right here. He catches him a few times against the cage too. That's a significant, like, you know what I mean? He almost won right there. He could have ended it right there, but I mean, Moldavsky's a Fedor protege. And then I mean, he got a takedown in the second round, but then you get to see a lot of these types of exchanges. Again, that's Bader getting the takedown on Moldavsky. So it was definitely an even. I'm surprised that this wasn't a split decision. But so I mean, and to Ali's point from his Twitter, the tweet that he said after the event about judging, you know, Henderson and Bader were like Arizona favorite, like they were the hometown favorites. Mm. So I kind of see where he's coming from. Um, but I in all 5 rounds, this fight was more uh Bader controlled the fight more than Moldavsky did. So, and for those that don't know, I know MMA News is heavy on UFC stuff, but this was an undisputed heavyweight title unification bout because Bader's time in the light heavyweight Grand Prix, he couldn't defend his heavyweight title, so they did a fight with Timothy Johnson and Moldavsky to fight for the heavyweight interim title. Moldavsky won. Bader lost his the semifinal round of the light heavyweight Grand Prix, so the interim title fight was there waiting for him. You know, depending on how he did in the Grand Prix. So he's out of the Grand Prix, and this is the fight that we got for it, and it delivered. I liked it. I found it entertaining. Again, I rewatched it this morning, and now he faces Czech Congo, again for that's his next heavyweight title fight. Excuse me. The the fight's supposed to be in Paris, but it looks like there might be some logistic issues. Again, I don't know if it's COVID related or because I mean I forget what happened with MMA in France. I mean they ban it, then they lift the ban, and then they ban it again. So I don't remember the where they left off there. But you see, the UFC has to move events because of stuff going on, and quarantine rulings vary state by state and place by place. So the UFC is already moving some of their events. I would expect folks like Bellator and One Championship and other bigger promotions are going to have to reassess what they announce and plan. It's just the world we live in, right? So, and there's a couple of Bellator staples that I want to mention on here. I have to confess something. Worst picks I've ever made on a fight card. I actually picked looking at the prelims, I picked Darren Caldwell to win. I picked Saad Awad to win, and I picked Ben Parrish to win, which I feel like he could have. But anybody feel like Mike Beltran's? What do I want to say about Mike Beltran? I feel like his reffing between the UFC fights that he did and the fights that he did here, like I don't want to say early stoppage or late stoppage because it seems like he's doing one extreme or the other. He's either stopping too soon or stopping too late in some fights. I don't know. So I felt like Ben Parrish could have taken, he was working well from the bottom. He landed an elbow. If you watch that first fight, Sullivan Cauley versus Big Tuna Ben Parrish, he's got a big cut right here in the middle of his head, and it's from an elbow that Parrish threw from the bottom. So I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like and he's one of the referees I like, so I'm not trying to dog him out, but I feel like maybe he's doing too much because he's becoming one of these referees that you regularly see, so much to the point that if you're seeing him in Arizona, California, you know what I mean, like how I don't know. I just feel like his mind might need a break because he usually doesn't. He's not a referee that anyone, including myself, again, I like him as a ref. I like Herb Dean as a ref most of the time. I know folks like to get on him lately, but I always stand by what I remember when he refereed Frank Meer versus Tim Sylvia, and people gave him shit because he stopped the fight because Tim Sylvia's arm broke and Tim Sylvia wanted to keep fighting. And after the fact, even Tim Sylvia was like, "I'm glad he stopped it," because obviously he still, if you follow Tim Sylvia's post fighting career, he still had issues from that arm break, with screws coming out of his forearm and stuff like that. So it's definitely something that uh, referees don't get enough credit for. They'll give him crap and then realize after the fact, maybe it was good that you saved that man's, life and health and blah blah blah. So that's why I'm trying. Underlying. I'm not trying to dog out Mike Beltran, because he is one of my favorite refs. Um, this fight here hurt me a little bit because I've interviewed Saad Awad a few times. I've followed Saad's career. I mean, he's fought most of his career in Bellator. I didn't see him losing this fight, especially after he was coming off of a win, and he did so well. It looked like he relocated, including changing training camps, and I thought maybe that was like refreshing for him as a fighter, to kind of like get him to start new. But I don't know if the placement, having him put on the prelim, because Saad Awad's been a main card fighter for as long as I can remember. I thought it was odd, to be honest with you, that he was on the prelims. But it's Showtime. They're on Showtime. It's not like broadcast TV. So, in my opinion, sometimes it's better for exposure, because if you don't have to go through a paywall, which is why I like Eagle FC, then a lot of folks are going to get to watch you perform. So I don't know if that was an issue. Hopefully I get to talk to him soon. I'm always weary of when fighters take their gloves off after a loss the way that he did, because it makes me wonder if they thought about announcing their retirement, especially if they've been fighting for a long time. And he did that, and I was kind of just like, oh man. I mean, as much as you like to watch these guys fight, it's up to them when they retire, and if they made their life about the thing about pro athletes in general, when they make the decision to retire, it's something that they have to mull over, and it's hard for them to do, and they oftentimes they'll come back. I mean, we just talked about Rashad Evans. They'll take some time off and then come back, because it's hard for them to sit at home, watch a sport that they've been in grow, especially with mixed martial arts, because right now it's the biggest it's ever been. I don't remember even thinking that it would get as big as it's gotten, to the point that there's new promotions popping up left and right. Again, I mentioned Eagle FC. I know I mentioned Showtime. Pettis has his own promotion. Speaking of which, the timing is weird too. Because there's you don't see this a lot on MMAnews.com, but if you look and you look at the antitrust lawsuit and stuff like that the UFC has, one of the things they talk about is like the UFC is too big. It's controlling to the sport to the point that it's a monopoly, or a monopoly, whatever the fuck it's called. I don't speak legalese, sorry, but you can search this stuff. But to me, the fact that the UFC is a public company, owned by Endeavor, so there's more eyeballs on them. So these lawsuits are probably going to keep coming up, to the point that more, especially investors, probably want to know what's going on here. What am I putting my money into? So it's almost like, even Icon was Jorge Masvidal's Icon MMA or whatever that happened just a couple of weeks ago. It's almost like the timing is a little convenient, because all these former UFC guys all of a sudden have these fight promotions that some are easily accessible. Pettis' thing is going to be on UFC Fight Pass. Eagle FC is on their own thing. But it just makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like, it just seems a little convenient. Listen, sometimes I get a little too deep in my my like forethought of where I think things are going to go. Don't go by me though, because I'm an idiot. And all my picks were wrong for Bellator 273. But still, it just makes you wonder. So anyway, that's it for me for this Sunday submission. The intro you saw at the beginning of this was the one I did last week, but there was music that was allegedly copyright free from the service I got it from, and they fucking lied to me. So that's why I put the electric sound. I would hope that YouTube doesn't think that's something that someone would possibly steal from somewhere, but you never know because YouTube is just a bunch of bots anyway. So anyway, I'm signing out. I'm just gonna stay inside and stay warm because I'm tired of looking at the snow and I'm not going outside anymore. But I'm tapping out. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you next Sunday.